Take a good look around your home right now and think about how much money flows out of it every single month. The electricity bill, the heating bill, the water bill, the cleaning products, the cabinet full of sprays, the food that spoils in the fridge before you can eat it, the things that break and get thrown away and replaced, the endless little purchases that seem small on their own but add up month after month to a fortune over a lifetime. We've come to accept all of it as simply the cost of living, as something we have no choice about, something that's just the way the world works now. But that isn't true, and it never was. Right now, today, high up in the mountains, there are old men and women who live well, warm, fed, and comfortable, on a tiny fraction of what the rest of us spend, and not because they go without, but because they know things we've forgotten. They hold a whole set of money-saving secrets, passed down quietly through generations, that let them get by on almost nothing and want for almost nothing, secrets that were once simply common sense, known in every household, and that the modern world has very nearly forgotten. Today, I'm going to share those secrets with you, one by one, the real, practical, money-saving wisdom of the mountain elders. The kind of thing every family used to know and almost everyone has forgotten. And every single one is something you can start doing in your own home this week to keep more of your hard-earned money in your own pocket, where it belongs. And stay with me to the very end, because the last secret is the most important of all. It isn't a trick or a tip at all, but the single deep idea that everything else rests on, the real reason these elders are more secure with little than most of us are with plenty. But let's start at the beginning. Before we begin, let me say something true. The mountain elders aren't poor in the way we fear being poor. They may have little money, but they are rich in the things that matter: secure, capable, unworried, free. And that's the great surprise. They reach that security not by earning more, but by needing less, and by knowing how to provide for themselves what the rest of us must buy. We've been taught our whole lives that the answer to every problem is to spend to buy the product, the gadget, the service, the upgrade. The elders were taught the opposite, that the answer to most problems is knowledge and a little effort, and that what you can do for yourself, you never have to pay for. That single difference, repeated across 1,000 small daily choices, is the whole reason they stay afloat, while so many of us, earning far more, are always one bill from trouble. So if you've ever felt the quiet weight of always spending, always owing, always running to keep up, and sensed that the old, thrifty, self-reliant way was wiser, then subscribe and stay right here with me, because rescuing this kind of forgotten wisdom is exactly what this channel is for. And I want to be clear about one thing before we start. None of what I'm about to share is about being cheap or stingy or living a small, joyless life. It's the very opposite. The mountain elders live richly good food, warm homes, full lives. They simply do it without waste and without the endless spending we've come to think is normal. This is about getting more life out of less money, not less life. It's about being the kind of person who isn't frightened by a bill, who can take care of themselves, who sleep soundly because they know they'll be all right no matter what. That's what these secrets really buy you. Now, let's get into them. The first money-saving secret of the mountain elders is the simplest and the most powerful, and everything else flows from it. They waste absolutely nothing, nothing. To the modern household, the bin is always filling food scraps, packaging, worn-out things, leftovers, all of it tossed without a thought. To the mountain elder, a full bin is almost a kind of shame, a sign of money thrown away. They look at everything before it leaves their hands and ask one quiet question: is there still any use left in this? The vegetable peelings and bones become a rich soup or stock. The stale bread becomes part of another meal. The worn-out clothes become patches, rags, or quilts. The bacon grease is saved in a jar to cook with. The bit of soap too small to use is pressed into the next new bar. Every single thing is used, and then used again, until there is truly nothing left in it. And here's the thing to understand: this isn't misery or going without. It's a habit of mind, a way of seeing, that quietly saves a fortune over a year, because the family is constantly getting full value out of things the rest of us pay for and then throw half away. Here's how you bring it home. Before you throw anything out, pause and ask the elders' question: is there still use in this? Save your vegetable scraps for stock. Use up your leftovers. Repair before you replace. It's not about deprivation. It's about respect for what you already have. And here are a few of the small ones the elders never waste. To give you the idea, the water from boiling vegetables becomes the base for a soup. The last scrapings of the jam jar are rinsed out with a little hot water into a sweet drink. The cooled fat from cooking is saved to fry with tomorrow. The buttons are cut off a worn-out shirt before it becomes cleaning rags. The ash from the fire feeds the garden. Even the cool candle stubs are melted together into a new candle. None of it is dramatic. But every single thing that doesn't go in the bin is a thing you got full value from, and full value multiplied across every day of every year is a quiet fortune. Master this one habit and you've learned the heart of all the rest. But the second secret strikes at one of the biggest bills of all. The second money-saving secret is that they make it themselves instead of buying it. Walk through a modern home and nearly everything in it was bought, ready-made, at a price that includes the factory, the packaging, the shipping, the advertising, and the shop's profit layer upon layer of cost piled onto the simple thing itself. The mountain elders cut all of that away by making things with their own hands. They bake their own bread for a fraction of the price of a bought loaf. They make their own simple cleaning supplies from vinegar, baking soda, and a little soap instead of buying a dozen expensive bottles. They grow their own vegetables. They mend and sew their own clothes and household things. They make their own simple remedies. Every single thing they make instead of buy is money kept, and usually a better, simpler, more honest version of the thing as well. Now, you don't have to make everything, but every single thing you learn to make for yourself is a cost you never pay again. Here's how you start. Pick one thing you buy regularly and learn to make it yourself. Bake your own bread. Mix your own cleaning spray from vinegar and water. Grow a pot of herbs on the windowsill. Start with one, get good at it, and add another. Each one is a small, permanent cut to your spending. And think about how the costs stack up in your favor over time. A loaf of bread costs a few cents in flour and water when you bake it, against the price of a bought loaf several times a week. For the rest of your life, a bottle of vinegar replaces a whole shelf of cleaning sprays. A packet of seeds gives a whole summer of vegetables. The skill is learned once, and it pays you back every single time you use it, forever. That's the magic of making instead of buying. You're not just saving money today, you're buying yourself a lifetime of never having to pay for that thing again. The elders understood that a skill in your hands is worth more than money in your pocket, because money gets spent and is gone, but a skill keeps on saving you, year after year. But the third secret is about the single most wasteful thing in most homes. The third money-saving secret is the way they handle food, because food is where most households quietly hemorrhage money. Think how much food a modern family throws away, bought on a whim, forgotten at the back of the fridge, cooked too much, gone off before it's eaten. It's money straight in the bin day after day. The mountain elders waste almost no food at all, and they do it through old, simple discipline. They plan their meals around what they have, not around cravings. They cook the right amount, and the leftovers become tomorrow's lunch, never garbage. They preserve the harvest and the surplus, drying, salting, fermenting, pickling, storing in the cold, so that nothing is lost and the summer's plenty feeds them through the winter. They store their food properly so it lasts as long as possible. And they eat simple, filling, inexpensive foods, grains, beans, root vegetables, whatever's in season, and cheap, rather than costly, fancy, packaged things. Here's how you bring it home. Plan your meals and shop to that plan so you stop buying food that rots. Eat your leftovers. Learn to store food properly so it lasts. Cook simple, hearty, cheap meals from basic ingredients. Cutting your food waste alone can save a household a startling amount over a year, and it's some of the easiest money you'll ever save. And here's a piece of the elders' wisdom most people never think about. They cook once and eat several times. They make a big pot of soup, stew, or beans that feeds them for days, so they're not buying and cooking fresh every single meal. It saves food, it saves fuel, and it saves the most precious thing of all, their time and energy. They also keep what they call a poor man's pantry, a store of cheap, filling, long-lasting basics like grains, dried beans, flour, and root vegetables, the foods that have fed families through hard times for centuries. With a pantry like that, they're never caught out, never forced into expensive last-minute shopping, and never go hungry. A simple sack of dried beans and a bag of rice can feed a person for weeks for the price of a single restaurant meal. That's the kind of quiet math the elders do without even thinking. They know that the cheapest foods are very often the most nourishing and filling ones too, the humble, honest staples that built strong families for centuries, long before anyone was selling expensive convenience in shiny packages. But the fourth secret takes on the bills that frighten us most. The fourth money-saving secret is how they slash the cost of heating and cooling the bills that climb higher every year and frighten us most. The mountain elders, who face brutal cold and real heat with little money for either, have a whole arsenal of free tricks, and the heart of it is this: they heat and cool the person and the small space, not the whole empty house. In winter, they don't blast heat into every room. They warm one room, close off the rest, seal the drafts with rolled cloth at the doors and windows, dress warmly indoors, and use hot stones and warm bedding to keep the body warm directly. In summer, they don't run a machine all day. They shut the house against the sun by day and open it to the cool by night, shade the windows and let the breeze and a little water do the cooling. They work with the warmth of the sun and the cool of the earth instead of fighting them with expensive machines. Here's how you save with it. In winter, heat the room you're in and close the doors to the ones you're not, stop the drafts, and dress warmly inside instead of turning the dial up. In summer, block the sun by day and open up by night before you reach for the air conditioner. Heat and cool yourself and your space, not the empty air, and watch those frightening bills come down. And there's more the elders do that costs nothing. They let the winter sun in through the windows by day to warm the house for free, then close the curtains at dusk to hold that warmth in through the night. They use the heat they're already making the warmth of cooking, the warmth of bodies and lamps, instead of letting it escape. They put a draft stopper at the bottom of every door and a heavy curtain over the cold windows. They understand that a huge amount of money is lost simply through the cracks and gaps where the warm air leaks out and the cold creeps in, and that sealing those up costs almost nothing and pays you back every single day of winter. It isn't about suffering in the cold or sweltering in the heat, it's about being clever so you stay comfortable for a fraction of the cost. But the fifth secret is one we've almost completely lost. The fifth money-saving secret is that they repair things instead of replacing them. We live in a world that whispers constantly that the moment something breaks or wears or goes out of fashion, you throw it away and buy a new one. The mountain elders find that almost unthinkable. When something breaks, their first instinct isn't to replace it, it's to fix it. They mend the torn clothes, patch the worn ones, and pass them down. They repair the tool, the chair, the fence, the leaking pot with their own hands and a bit of ingenuity. They keep things working for years, for decades, long past the point where the rest of us would have thrown them out and bought 3 replacements. And because they look after their things and repair them, their things last, which means they rarely have to spend on replacing them at all. Here's how you bring it home. The next time something breaks, before you throw it out and buy new, ask whether you could fix it or learn to. Mend the clothes, glue the chair, patch it, sharpen it, oil it, care for it. A little repair skill and a habit of maintenance will save you more money over a lifetime than almost anything else, and it's deeply satisfying too. And here's a part the elders understood deeply. Looking after things before they break is even better than fixing them after. They oil the tools so they don't rust, sharpen the blades so they last, clean and maintain everything so it serves them for decades. They buy good, solid, simple things once and care for them rather than buying cheap things over and over. There's an old saying they live by that the poor man pays twice because he buys cheap and has to buy again. The elder buys well or makes do and maintains what he has, and so he pays once and is done. In a world built on things designed to break and be replaced, the simple refusal to throw away what can still be fixed is quietly one of the most powerful money savers there is. But the sixth secret is about resisting a force that's working on you every single day. The sixth money-saving secret is that they simply don't want very much, and in a world built to make us want endlessly, this is almost a superpower. Every single day, all of us are pushed, nudged, and tempted to want more. The newer thing, the better version, the thing the neighbor has, the thing on the screen. And every one of those wants, when we give in to it, costs money. The mountain elders are mostly free of all that. They live simply, they're content with what they have, and they don't measure their worth by their possessions. They don't buy things to impress anyone. They don't chase the new model of something that already works. They find their richness in their family, their work, their land, their faith, their community, and things that cost nothing at all. And because they don't want much, they don't spend much, and they're not forever working to pay for things they didn't really need in the first place. Here's how you bring it home, and it's more about the heart than the wallet. Before you buy something, pause and ask honestly, do I truly need this, or have I just been made to want it? Wait a few days on any big purchase. You'll be amazed how often the wanting passes. Find your pleasures in the things that don't cost money. Contentment is the cheapest and the richest thing there is. And here's something worth understanding, because it's done to us deliberately. There are whole industries whose entire job is to make us feel that what we have isn't enough, that we need the newer, the bigger, the better, to be happy or respected. The elders are largely untouched by all of that. They never learn to measure themselves against a screen or a neighbor. Their sense of worth comes from who they are and what they can do, not from what they own. And so they're spared the endless expensive treadmill of wanting the one that keeps so many of us working harder and harder just to buy more things that don't actually make us any happier. There's a deep freedom in simply being content and looking around at what you have and feeling that it's enough. That freedom is something no amount of money can buy, and yet it saves you a fortune. The elders found their richness in a sunrise, a good meal, family around the table, work well done, a quiet evening by the fire, and not one of those things costs a penny. But now we come to the seventh and final secret, the deepest one of all. The seventh and greatest money-saving secret of the mountain elders isn't a trick or a tip at all. It's the single deep idea that every other one rests upon, and it's this: true wealth is not having much, but needing little. Sit with that for a moment, because it turns everything we've been taught upside down. We're raised to believe that security comes from earning more and more, so we can buy more and more, and yet so many people who earn a great deal are anxious, stretched thin, and always one setback away from disaster, because their spending rises right alongside their income and they can do almost nothing for themselves. The mountain elder has taken the opposite path entirely. By needing little, by knowing how to provide for themselves, by wasting nothing and wanting little, they have made themselves almost unshakable. A smaller income can't frighten someone whose needs are small and whose hands are skilled. A hard time can't break someone who already lives simply and knows how to make do. They are not at the mercy of their wages or the shops or the bills the way we so often are. When prices rise, when work is scarce, when hard times come, and they always come, sooner or later the elder barely feels it, because they were never living right at the edge of what they earned in the first place. That is real wealth, not a big number in a bank account, but the deep, quiet freedom of knowing that you need very little and can provide much of it yourself. And the beautiful thing is that this kind of wealth is available to almost anyone at almost any income, because it isn't built from earning more, it's built from needing less and knowing more. Every skill you learn, every want you let go of, everything you stop wasting, everything you can do for yourself, each one makes you a little freer, a little more secure, a little richer in the way that actually matters. Think of it like building a wall, one stone at a time, between yourself and fear. Each skill, each saving, each thing you no longer depend on others for is one more stone, until one day you realize you're standing behind something solid that the storms can't knock down. That is the secret behind all the secrets. That is what the mountain elders know and what we forgot. So let's bring it all together, because when you look at everything the mountain elders do, you see that it's not really a list of money tricks at all. It's a whole way of living, and a far freer one than ours. They waste nothing. They make what they can instead of buying it. They handle their food so none of it is lost. They heat and cool the person and the space, not the empty house. They repair instead of replace. They want little, so they spend little. And underneath it all runs the one great truth that real wealth is needing little, not having much. Not one of these costs anything to begin. Every single one of them puts money straight back in your pocket. And together, they add up not just to savings, but to something far more valuable: security, capability, and freedom. They don't make your life smaller. They make it sturdier, calmer, and more your own. And here's the thing that really stays with me. The mountain elders aren't trapped and frightened by money the way so many of us are, for all our higher incomes. They don't lie awake worrying about the next bill, because they've built a life that doesn't depend on a constant stream of money to keep it standing. They are, in the truest sense, free from needing to buy what they can make, free from wanting what they don't need, free from the fear that keeps so many of us chained to work we dislike, just to pay for things we barely use. Think about that for a moment because it's the whole heart of it. Most of us spend the best hours of our lives earning money and then spend that money on things we were taught to want and then have to earn more to replace them round and round, never quite getting ahead, always a little anxious. The elder stepped off that wheel or never got on it. By needing little and knowing much, they freed up their time, their energy, and their peace of mind. They work, yes, often hard, but they work for themselves and their families, not to pay off a mountain of wants. They look at a life of plenty and see something that doesn't tempt them. We look at their simple life and slowly realize they may have understood something we missed entirely. And the only real difference between us and them is knowledge, the old, practical, money-saving wisdom that everyone used to have and that we let slip away in a single, comfortable generation. But the wonderful thing is, none of it is lost. It's all still here, waiting for you to pick it back up. You don't have to change your whole life overnight. Just start with one secret. Stop wasting one thing. Learn to make one thing. Cut one bill. Repair one thing instead of replacing it. Let go of one want. Each small step keeps a little more money in your pocket, and more than that, gives you back a little more freedom, the deep, quiet security the mountain elders have always known. And here's what you'll find as you go. Each one makes the next one easier, because they all spring from the same root, that same change in how you see things. You stop seeing yourself as a customer for everything, and start seeing yourself as someone capable, someone who can provide, mend, make, and do. That shift, more than any single trick, is the real treasure the elders pass down, and once you start, you'll find it's not a hardship at all. It feels like coming home to a wiser, calmer, freer way of living the way your own grandparents very likely lived before all of it was forgotten. Now I'd love to hear from you. What money-saving wisdom did your own parents or grandparents live by? Did they save the bacon grease, mend everything, grow their own food, refuse to waste a crumb? What did they teach you that stayed with you all these years? Tell me down in the comments and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I read every single one, and there's nothing I love more than hearing this old wisdom and knowing it's still alive in good people like you. And if you'd like to keep learning the old mountain ways, how they keep food fresh for a year with no fridge, how they heat their homes for almost nothing, and so many more things the modern world threw away, then stay right here with me by the fire. There's so much more to share. Until next time, take good care of yourself, take good care of the ones you love, and never let the old wisdom be lost. And remember, every little thing you save, make, mend, or simply choose not to buy is a small act of freedom. The elders would be proud of you for it.